I want to treat this video with reverence because it deserves that. This isn't a video of I hate Christianity or I hate Christians or it's all wrong and it's or whatever. It's not about that. It's about my truth, my lived experience, my lived life experience and truth. It's about my faith. It's about how strong my faith was growing up and how much I trusted what I was taught. But the teachings never made sense to me. When I started to really look at what was being taught elsewhere, around the country, around the world, even different churches nearby me, seeing Christians with really extreme ideologies and really kind of disturbing or disgusting beliefs around Jesus, around saviors, around God. Such distorted things and contradictory things. And it really disheartened me because as a kid, like growing up where I went to church, I mean, it was loving. I had a very loving relationship with Jesus. My mom did. My family had a really strong faith. My dad had a strong faith. And we were Catholic, but it wasn't like, my experience was quite pleasant. It was peaceful, it was friendly, it was nice. And I went to different Christian places as well, where I got very different and very loving views of Jesus, and like so many different places where I had wonderful experiences of accepting God into my heart, you know, Jesus into my heart. And so I had a very powerful faith growing up that meant a lot to me. And so then to grow up and be more disturbed by what I found in the world and not having answers on how to see it in a more loving way, I struggled to trust the religion entirely because I didn't want to stay narrow-minded on something. Like, I didn't want to be believing something that wasn't the truth if it led so many people to that. And the truth is, I see a lot of Christians who are just living in fear. They're scared. They don't know how to have real faith that keeps you feeling safe and protected. They don't know how to have that relationship with God, and it's because the teachings and the teachers have failed them. Their teachings have been inconsistent, incomplete. It's not, we're taught a lot of things about God and about life that are really unhealthy because they're not rooted in truth. They're rooted in fear, judgment, separation, lack. They're based in falseness. And it's turned into a lot of just idolatry, idol worshiping. And this is just the reality of it. This is what people don't want to look at, is that we've placed a man on a pedestal as someone to be worshipped above us, when really Jesus taught us that he was our brother. He represented the best of us. He represented love. He knew God. And he knew of his oneness with God. And he shared that with people. And it became distorted over time because people didn't understand it. And not knowing what to believe in, and not knowing if God even existed, not knowing if Jesus even existed. I mean, there were so many different accounts of things. People saying that it was made up, people saying that, that it was crazy or all these things. And you grow up kind of like, as a kid, you're shown a lot of stuff where it makes it like very fantasy magical stuff, like all of Jesus's miracles and stuff. Like, there's real metaphysics to that. It's not something that is unknown. I mean, lots of people have experienced the same types of miracles that Jesus performed, and they've had those miracles move through them too. Because to be a miracle worker is to know of your oneness with God, to be in love with God. When you are in loving relationship with God and you know that God is inside you because everything is God, because God is the only thing that exists, you come back into communion with God, the living God that lives inside you, inside each cell of your body, inside each atom, because you're made of energy. Your consciousness rendering energy into form from a formless field, and that formless field is the mind of God. And this is why the teachings are incomplete. They don't talk about the mother and the feminine. In fact, they make the feminine seem lesser than the masculine. A lot of the teachings do. And that's just straight up fucking bullshit. This is what that is. All of it is hot fucking stinky garbage, Nasty. We need the mother brought back into the church. But this video is not about saying Christianity is all wrong and that it should go away. It's that it's incomplete and it needs to evolve. If you want to actually be a follower of Christ, it means to be a leader among people. A leader not in a way that is forceful, a leader by example, because you live like Christ. Those are the teachings of Christ. And Christ was teaching unconditional love. He was teaching us how to follow the law of one, which is a universal law that dictates karma and the flow of energies and allows for each of us to have free will without infringing on other people's free will. And that is one of the most important teachings of our time, is anything that has to do with free will, freedom, liberating ourselves. I can't tell you, how many Christians don't feel free, who feel tied down, who feel like in order to be like Christ, you have to be a living sacrifice. That's not truth. That's not freedom. That's bondage. That's a different form of control, and it's not healthy for us. We are meant to live free. We are meant to be free children of God. And that's how life is supposed to be. Everything is within. When you know you're made of the one source, that God lives in you, that God lives in everything, that there is a plan for you, that there is a plan for humanity, that we can actually, the more we learn to relax personally, the better your life is going to get, and the more you're actually going to be able to help others. Just by being you. Just by being a person who's walking around in love and seeing God everywhere. That's how you serve. You just be yourself, and you choose God. You choose to see God in everything and see how beautiful everything can be. Life doesn't have to be heavy. We've just learned that it is, and we didn't know a better way. But oneness is a better way. And oneness doesn't mean the illumination of Christianity. It means the evolution of Christianity. And that is something that is happening and has to happen, because that's what's meant for all of us. Over a period of time, to wake up from all of that darkness, to see our shadows, and to no longer be victims to them, but instead to embrace them, love them, forgive them, and learn how to see them from a higher perspective, so that we can heal those patterns and those behaviors, so that our world can live in peaceful cooperation and not war. That's what matters. That we learn to live like Christ, not by becoming sacrifices, but by loving God the way Jesus loved God. To be one with the Father. I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. We are not separate. And the truth is the same. The truth is the same for the mother. I am in the mother, and the mother is in me. The mother is Mother Earth. The mother is the body, the physical, and the Father is the non-physical. But they are one, and they are all love. This body is made of love. This world is made of love. And to actually live, as a free being on this planet who doesn't feel like they're caged in by a system or the way things are, that is a gift. To live with an open heart, that is a gift. It's not to be perfect. Jesus was not perfect. He loved perfectly. And that's what we are called to do. Not to be perfect, but to love perfectly. I used to put so much pressure on myself to be like Jesus, to be like Christ. But I didn't know how to do that without sacrificing my own happiness, my own self, my own everything. That's all I knew was sacrifice. That was how you be loving. You carry the weight of the world. That's what I used to hold on to, because I thought that's how I was like Jesus. And that's what I learned to do. Every Christian deserves to have a living relationship with God. They can have a living relationship with Jesus too. Jesus is unconditionally loving all of us all the time because Jesus loves like God. And so does Ram Dass and Buddha and Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary, and I mean, there's just so many beings that love us unconditionally, right here, right now, in the present moment, with God, in communion with God. To know that you're worthy of that love everywhere you are, that you're safe, you're protected to be human, to live your life. You don't need to be afraid of life. You don't need to be afraid of death. Existence is safe because it's all, the divine intelligence of God is everywhere. It's in everything. When people go into fear, things become fearful. When people are worried about things, things become worrisome. It doesn't mean you're never nervous. It doesn't mean you never feel fear. It just means you come back to God every time and you trust. And you live with courage. And you live with honesty. And you understand that truth is everything. Truth is so important. Your truth, the truth of love, that you're always listening to your heart, letting your heart guide you as much as possible, even when the mind doesn't really understand why. It's important because that's how God talks to you. And God feels good. When you're feeling really good with God, you can trust it. And when something feels really off, it is. But it's gonna be okay. And so you can come back to God and peace, relax. You don't have to live life all stressed out. When you trust God, when you really trust God, you will know peace. And it's beautiful. Just follow the law of one, what Jesus taught. When in doubt, love God above all else, trust God above all else, and love your neighbor as yourself, and know that you're worthy of unconditional love, just like everyone else. And I love you, and I'm grateful if you watch this video, no matter your thoughts. No matter your beliefs, I accept you as you are.